on, so we'll open it up to the public for any comments, if there are anybody that has applied to speak.
No one signed up today.
No one, we will close the public comments and move on to the minutes. Has everybody looked at the minutes for approval?
Questions or corrections, I'll move to approve.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second? Call the roll? I guess. Are we still calling the roll on everything?
We are.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Hinkle?
Aye.
Ms. Lynn?
Here.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Smith? Aye. Mr. Montgomery?
Aye. Next is the grant-making software. So, Karen,
Yeah,
lead the way.
fun hands, right? I just wanted to start off with the tutorial video. You may have watched it. It's just a quick 4 minutes, but just to provide it just as a quick overview to get us started.
Hello and welcome to the evaluation tutorial. In this video, we'll step you through how to complete your assigned evaluation. After logging into the site, locate the evaluation you want to work on and click Start, Continue, View, or Update. The action word you see depends on the status of an evaluation. For example, you'll start a pending evaluation that you haven't worked on yet, you'll continue a draft evaluation that you previously started, and you can update an evaluation in which you've already completed the required questions. This brings you to your assigned evaluation form for the grant or scholarship request. Information is available at the top of the page about the request, the applicant, and the organization for a grant request. If an administrator has uploaded any documents or entered comments about this request, they can be viewed here.
Do you want us to follow?
You can download a PDF of your evaluation and responses by clicking Evaluation Packet. Click Application or LOI Packet to download a PDF of the form you're evaluating. If the applicant uploaded documents as part of their form responses, you can view all these documents in one place by clicking Document Viewer. An individual document can also be viewed by clicking the eye icon next to it. In most sites, you'll see your evaluation form on one side of the screen and the form you're evaluating, either the LOI or application, on the other. Click the arrow icons to flip the order of these forms if you'd like. You can also drag the dotted line to make one side bigger or the other side bigger. If you're evaluating the application form but the request also contains an LOI, you can click the form type to view the LOI for reference if you'd like. Some sites do not utilize the side-by-side view, in which case you'll see two tabs and you can click between the form you're evaluating and your evaluation form that way. On your evaluation form, required questions are indicated with an asterisk. As you fill out the form, the system auto-saves your work every 100 characters you type or as you click out of a question, but you can always click Save as well. Depending upon the site, you might see a share icon available next to the evaluation question. This allows you to see other evaluators' responses to the questions when this feature is enabled. When you're finished working on the form, click Save. This brings you to a confirmation page, which will list any required questions you haven't yet answered. You can click Return to Evaluation if you need to go back to the same evaluation. Click Next Pending Evaluation to move to the next incomplete evaluation in your assigned list, or click Return to Dashboard to go back to your full list of assigned evaluations. Even after you've completed all the required questions for an evaluation, you can edit your responses up until the site administrator closes evaluations for the request. As you work on your evaluations, please reach out to the organization's administrator if you have any specific questions. Thanks for watching.
All right. So that concludes our video portion of the training today. Now we get into the fun, real part. So just as an update, we do have 17 applications in progress. We have one actually submitted. And then you get to review 2 fabulously composed grant applications by 2 amazing people. We take our job very seriously. I just want you to know. Okay. So you all are on your dashboard. And you should have 2 grant applications there to review. Is that correct? So we'll start with Angela's first. So Angela's is the applicant, where her applicant is.
You need to leave the room.
Right, I don't know.
What amount did you put in?
So hit start.
So, yeah, so at the very far side of there, where it says, mine says continue, but it's on the far right side. So if you click that, it'll take you, and everybody should have a side-by-side viewing. Does everybody have
We're doing
that?
Angela's first, which is
Do Angela's first.
So at the very top where it says Document Viewer, you can click on that, and that has all the attachments there. So you can click on each of the attachments to look at it. So this is Angela's partnership and collaboration. Let's see.
I like the chairs.
Yeah. And then her tax form. So that'll give you an opportunity to look at the actual forms, and then when you're done, just click the X button at the top and it'll exit out of it. Additionally, you can scroll all the way to the bottom of the application, and the forms are loaded down there as well, and there's a little icon button where you can click on it down there to look at those forms as well. So basically, you're just going to look at the evaluation, answer your questions. So let me give you a minute to go through and score that application. Angela, do you get a perfect score?
Probably. Probably deserve that.
So just... And then when you click Save at the bottom, it gives you your confirmation page. And then you can click on the next pending evaluation, and then that'll take you to the next one that's available. So if you want to... So it looks like on mine, I didn't answer 2 questions, so it's prompted me to go back because it's saying I didn't answer project alignment or the annual operating budget and financial documents. So I can return to the evaluation.
So we can't save a partially completed evaluation, right?
You can save a partially completed evaluation, yes. So if you wanted to do it partially, and then you could go back to your dashboard and move on to the next one, and it'll just have a yellow beside it.
Okay.
So I'll go through and finish those questions. So now everything's been cleared and saved. And I don't have any pending, so I'll return to the dashboard. And so all my boxes are green on the side, so that tells me I've completed everything.
Education, I thought.
So one of the things that you can do, a lot of times what happens when you do evaluations, when you start out, you might be very generous with your scoring, but then as you progress on and the more you read, you might go back and think, oh, compared this one to the one I just read, the one that I read first is really not as good, so I need to go back and adjust my scores. So you can do that, and you can go back in and just click on it and just click on update, and then you can go back and adjust any of your scores that you need to. So you can go back and reevaluate them. And then it provides you can have a visual of everything that's on your dashboard and how everything is ranking up. So I can see that I gave this one a 60%, this one's at a 90%, so you can have a quick visual to kind of see the lay of the land of where you're scoring. The scores between you are not shared, so you're only looking at your evaluation component.
Show the administrative review.
Do you guys have any questions?
So you can update and go back and change something,
Yeah.
and then just save it. Okay, thank you.
So that remains live until I close it out, and so we can figure out if we want to do that by a certain date, or if when I see that everybody's completed their evaluations or submitted an email and says I'm good or whatever, then we can close it out that way. So let me show you what I see. So then what I see on my end as the administrator is that these applications are done being reviewed. So they're not done. There's 9 reviewers. 6 have completed the first one, 7 have completed the second one, and this is the score. So I know 6 out of 9 people have completed the reviewing. So I know not to close it out or do anything till I get a 9 out of 9.
How do you get from the evaluation summary back to the split screen?
Click on the application. You can click on the name or the project name.
But when I did that before, it went,
Click on that little update.
okay, that worked? Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Angela, let me ask you this. How do I get back to the dashboard where you showed both of y'all? Where'd I go? Just messed up. Let's hit back up.
So the house icon
That's-
at the
that's-
top of
that's
the screen next to
Karen.
the logo
Oh,
is
there it
the
is.
dashboard.
Okay, so
So
when I did
anytime
yours-
you,
Update.
aren't sure where to go and want to go back to the beginning, you can
No.
click on that, and it should take you
What
back
this is. How do I know what category?
to your home
Do I just
page.
guess? I'm just gonna guess what I think that they're in. Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
just your professional opinion.
Okay.
Of which one is the best fit. And we're going to struggle with that part.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
To me, that's going to be the hardest part that this group faces when it's time to actually distribute
So
money,
I'm doing,
Okay,
which is why we ask.
yeah.
trying to figure out I'm doing Karen's evaluation. It says I haven't completed, I'm trying to look at where,
It should tell you the category, and does it give you the
on the
category?
dashboard?
Yeah, or on the, when you save it, so if you go down and save it, and then it should tell you right here where you're missing.
Annual operating and financial tells
So you can return to the evaluation,
okay.
and then go down to that section.
That's the bottom, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It shows
Scroll
you
up a little bit.
if you
I
miss.
missed this one right here.
Oh, she wants a lot
It
more
shows you
money.
because I missed a yes or no.
Yeah,
There,
yeah.
that's the easy one to
And-
miss. But then you can always go back.
Right.
Okay, you want to look at it again? And if you want to change it, just change it there and save it again.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Got it.
That's it.
Back to the house.
Yeah, there you go. So it seems fairly intuitive to navigate around it, so, yeah.
I did the same thing. I skipped over a couple to see what it looks like, but it just, when I hit save, it just takes me to, I
Did
think go
it
back.
give you a blue?
Okay. It says 100%, but I didn't, I left off at 2.
Let's see, that one's not complete.
Yes,
So
yes.
when I went down to the bottom and hit
Yes and
save,
no
let me do it again because I've left off 2 of
Okay.
them. So what am I looking for?
Okay, so you're looking for this blue box, and this tells you all the
So
sections.
then I return to the,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
And then that'll prompt you to know that. And then the other way you'll know too is that the icon at the end of the row is still yellow. So when you go back to the dashboard, if your icons at the end are not green, then you know it's not a complete evaluation. So we still have some wiggle room in the evaluation form itself, but once we start the real process, then we don't. So if you really want to take a deeper analysis into, do these questions really work in this training process, then, you know, we still have the ability to
It's
kind
really
of
pretty easy.
adjust the evaluation questions.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Can you show where we made administrative comments and what that part looks like?
Yeah, so the way that we have this set up is really a kind of a 3-step process. So as administrators, was it on yours that had
I
the?
don't have, yeah, I didn't have that box up there.
You won't?
That one, yeah, okay.
Administrator.
Let's see. Okay. So let's go to Angela's. So as administrator, we have to force the applications through the process. So once they get submitted by the nonprofit, it sits in a bucket, and then I have to go through, and that's where I can check to make sure they've submitted all the required documents, and then I push it over into the complete pile. So then once it gets into the complete pile, we have a 2-step evaluation set up right now. So the first step is that Angela and I have an opportunity to go through it and review it and make sure everything looks good. And then we push it over to you guys for the final review and evaluation. So in that process, I'm trying to. Okay. Let me get back here. See if I can get this pulled up.
I put comments on mine, if you just want to even show it from their view where my comment was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't find, when I keep clicking comments, it's not,
It should, if you scroll down in Angela's application, there's a few, it says administrator comments that are kind of buried in there. I don't remember what sections they were in.
What, I can
I
check real
can't,
quick.
mine won't go either.
Is that the white box?
Are you looking on the right-hand side? What is it you're looking for?
there's a
Yeah,
tab
the
that says
demographic of myself along
comments.
with.
I'm not seeing
I don't see it.
But you're,
right
So like,
here.
if it were a real application.
When you clicked on what?
And I was looking and I noticed something about it. I'm not a scorer, so I'm not going to score, but I want to highlight to make sure that you all see what I see. You know, like, hey, they did a budget submission and they don't have any revenues. And I want to make sure you guys notice, then I can make a comment of be sure to look at the fact that their budget doesn't show any revenues. FYI, mine is just a comment in that piece, so that I can give you
budget.
guys, or Karen can, basically, it's just like a spot for a heads up.
My, what a lovely mission.
Yes, that was my comment, was my what a lovely mission. Obviously, I'm going to, Karen and I will limit what we say based on what we think that we really need you to focus in on.
I think that's really good, though.
yeah, that's it.
You see it before we even get it. And
Right.
have an opportunity to,
And then you guys, y'all can't talk to each other, but we can make sure that you're all looking at the same thing in your scores that are happening individually.
Is that the only comment place that you have on that part?
I don't remember. I think I did two. I think I did one on the budget. Look,
Yeah, there's a administrator comment under the mission
You ever find
statement.
it, Carl?
It was at the top left on,
Okay, so under the mission
it
statement,
popped up
Yeah.
right there, C note.
Yes.
For budget
y'all
incomplete.
administrator comment, oh, what a lovely mission. And
That's
then
all.
under
That's all it
the
is.
financial,
That's what I thought.
Oh, that's the note?
is that where I did one?
Oh, under the project budget template at the very bottom, incomplete documentation.
wait a minute, under the,
At the very, very bottom, under attachments, where it says
Yeah, I'm there.
project budget
I see
template,
that, yep.
administrator
budget template,
comments,
incomplete.
incomplete documentation.
got it,
All right, where are you at?
Can that be red?
yeah.
I know, right? I'll see if we can
Could you put an
adjust that.
asterisk?
Yeah.
Where are you at on that?
So if you pull up Angela's application, there's two spots where when we did a preview, when we did our evaluation process where we could add administrator comments, and those show up. So there's one under the mission statement. So if you look at, let me go back up. So under the mission statement, you see a blue bar, and then it says administrator comments.
Oh, yeah.
At mine.
Yes.
What a lovely
see
mission,
that.
on point. And then the second one is at the very bottom, under project budget templates, there's a blue bar.
Can you make it like a red outline box,
We'll
Yeah.
ask to see if
Definitely.
we can,
so you don't miss
Something.
them?
Something that's gonna pop.
to the dashboard,
okay,
and you go to Angela's, and
Okay.
you go under project to testing for training, hit that. There's a comment bar right up the top there.
yes.
How do I get back to the
Would that be a good,
I'm getting back to this.
get back to that?
I think
Yes.
that was a place where I put, like where I summarized, like a overall comment. Like I was allowed to put comments on the individual piece, and that was the place where I could put some overall highlights of, like just to kind of summarize.
that's, yeah,
You guys be sure and notice these 5 things.
that's great.
Oh, I found it.
But we should look there also, along with the,
Yeah, if you
Thank you.
see a number, then
Okay.
you know that there's comments there.
Yeah.
Back up one, I need to see how you got to this request summary.
The little house.
If you go to the dashboard.
On the prairie.
Took me a second, I was like, where, how do you get back to the?
And then if you click, you see the column where it says project?
Yes?
So just click on
Brand.
the application.
You-
So will we get that summary for every, it's kind of like narrows it down to just the bullet points, right?
So this summary is really about the organization, how many applications that they've submitted, and that process. So the request history shows that when the draft was done, when it was submitted, and when it was completed, so it date stamps all that. And then the submission history.
How did she get to where she's at?
How we processed it. So it doesn't really give you any content or
Okay.
narrative in that summary. So we're still kind of learning what all the little bells and whistles are, so certainly if you come across something and you don't have, and you're not sure, and want an explanation, let us know. We can research it out. So we'll find out if we can make the administrative comments a little bit more visible.
So this is all brand new, and it'll be new when we kick this off, but say 2 or 3 years down the road, is there a place on here where we can see what they asked for last year and the comments and what was given, and
Yeah, I think
that's sort of a
that'll-
history?
Yeah, I think that'll be in that request summary.
Okay.
I think that is where that will
All right.
populate.
That's a good idea.
So you may have just gone over this. We can or cannot see what the scoring is happening. We cannot.
You can't.
Okay, I thought that was
Yeah,
true.
you can only see your,
On the page, it mentions that the share button is turned on. Evaluators can click to show responses from other evaluators. Where's the share button?
it's turned off.
Didn't we vote on that?
Have that. We don't have that.
That was not like
Voted on it.
legal or whatever
Katie
for us
said
to be
no.
seeing that.
Okay.
I was wondering, the video was
How did you
inaccurate
get to
for
that
us.
summary?
Can you turn it on just for a minute?
How did you get to the summary? Where did you click?
It's a matter of the open meetings and
This summary,
the share.
So you just clicked the update, or did you click the project?
click the project.
Click the project, okay,
Yeah, click the project and that'll take you to the summary.
okay. Got it.
And then just, as Lynn said, go back to the house and
Yeah.
take you back to the.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all this
Did you see
is-
that?
Same thing with the share button. As a reminder, any comments that
Summary,
you
you just
make
click on
in
the
this
project
is a matter of
Instead of
public
the
record.
completion.
Thank you.
Oh,
You just click
Y'all
on this
hear that?
project
Did you hear
right
that,
there.
Dr. Hinkle?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
And see, and then
Any
it does that.
comments you make on this is a matter of public
That's the
record.
summary of that project.
oh, okay.
So don't be using bad language.
I didn't know what you said. You said that whatever we write.
Comments, public record.
Mirror on that one, right?
Yeah,
That's what she's,
really,
pointing you,
my language.
your language.
Watch your language carefully.
Careful about being honest.
Be aware of my language.
I do know from our RFCSPs, anytime we send out for proposals, we get requests for those proposals back and comments made on that.
Okay.
Go along with it. I would anticipate that we have others asking for the grant applications along with your evaluations and the comments that you make on it. So just remember that any comments you make is a matter of public record.
Thank you.
And they might track them back to you.
So they will see all this, or they being,
They
if
request
anybody.
The public record
Yeah.
request, they would see everything that you evaluate and comment.
Okay.
So y'all have gotten 2 in that are complete?
We've gotten one that's been submitted. We have 17 that are,
Is that more or less than you were anticipating? Doesn't seem like that many.
it's a little less, but it's still kind of early, so a lot of nonprofits will wait until,
The Community Foundation, they got 49 this year,
okay.
but they're handwritten applications.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
It's interesting.
And they were given to 30 out of the 49.
How are you all feeling on the software? What kind of practice do you want to do today? Or do you feel pretty good about it? Karen and I will be here to support you through the piece, and then the foundant will be there to support us as a part of this. So, like, this is not a one-time training piece, but it's pretty intuitive, right? Like, are y'all all feeling good about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Terrific.
So going back, if we want to just read, so I was eavesdropping with Carl, if we want to just read what the project is, we hit the project there.
I think you have to, I can look to see if we can add a column that would give the project summary in this on the dashboard.
Yeah.
We can look to see if that might be a field that they could add. We can take the process line off because that's all the same.
What's process?
That's just the name of our grant application, so that's,
Some granting agencies have multiple grants.
I see.
yeah.
So I was wondering if you could put it right there.
Yeah, I can, we'll definitely,
If it's going to be the same and repetitive.
yeah. So yeah, we can see if we can do that. Otherwise, you have to go back into the application
Okay, yeah.
itself
Okay.
to read the project summary, which is at the very top of your evaluation. Section 2.
The one Jennifer has on her auditor piece that's opened up has that.
It's a little different as an auditor. She has
So when we get all the applications in, and we're looking at, let's say we get 30, just,
yeah.
John, did you
Can
see
we
where
go
they
back
went
and
to? They
forth,
just clicked
look
on that to
at
get
them?
that summary.
Absolutely. Yeah,
review again
absolutely.
before we submit.
Yeah. So even though, even in the dashboard, you're here where it says update and there's a green check, that means you've completed the evaluation, you've answered all the questions and it's been scored. But you can just click on the update link and go back and reevaluate it or look at it. Or you can partially do an application, skip to another application. It'll just show up yellow in this end column here.
And we can update it up until you close the bidding.
Yep.
We'll submit all of them at the same time.
So what they do is they just sit in your dashboard and then I go through on, yeah.
So I have been thinking about this, and I know this sounds crazy, but is there a way, I know we won't discuss each application, but my definition of what good is, having done personnel reviews, I remember we had an admin who got all goods, and you would have thought I said to her, "You're the worst employee we've ever had." I mean, I had to say, good means good. Ice cream is good. It's, and I don't think we had very good, but we had excellent. I said, that's Jesus walking on water.
Right.
As a committee, can we have some common sense of what good represents? So that's a starting point, or is that just, we're leaving it up?
Well, that's what I was wondering is, because of that same reason, after we get these scores in, are we going to go through this again?
Yeah, because you'll have, this will only rank them, so to speak, but it's up to you guys to come back together and then make a final decision.
And we'll do that collaboratively.
Yes.
Okay, that works.
So John,
After they're submitted.
yeah,
Yes, after everybody has completed their evaluations, we can run a report that shows the rankings, the percentage rankings. So one of the questions on the evaluation is how much would you fund them? So we can pull that data and have that available. And then you guys will need to come together and make your final decisions.
Because they may have asked for 25,000, and I say 10,000, and John says 5,000. So that's the time to
Yeah, so you
negotiate.
guys will have to have a conversation around
Yeah, I like that.
collective decision. This will only kind of help.
I'll say this too, like to your comparison to a performance evaluation, if you are a hard scorer and a 7 is a really top score for you,
Right.
and you don't give a single 10 because
It'll
that's.
wash out.
Right, and then Ronnie over there is just lovely and kind,
Very.
and he's giving all 9s and 10s.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy. It'll,
Warm,
right, it'll still come out in the wash.
yeah.
Of what
Okay, so let me go back to what Lynn just said. We can evaluate this all different and everything, but if they ask for 25 and she says 20 and he says 5 and they say 12 and you say 10 and you say 6,
We got to think of
Is this-
a way to fix it.
does it not average it out and say this is the recommended? Or do we have, if we got to come back and talk about each one of the requests, then.
Yeah, so we can look at that to see what what it does reporting wise, or what we can do manually to help provide as much information for you guys as possible. So if that's a concern that you want to see
Well,
an
I'm just
average
thinking-
recommendation, we can certainly,
Why are we going, the trouble of these long evaluations and then coming up with a number if we got to discuss it all?
I think that's a great question.
If we, could we vote to say the average of the group? And that's a defined deal every
I
time?
think we've got to discuss it all after the numbers come in. I mean,
Of course, yes.
Okay, it's like, because we are going to score, I mean, like,
Yeah.
just from, like,
So-
when I was on the school board, I
Yeah.
mean, it's the same he's talking about, like, I can't, it's just
The
people's
point of this
numbers are
is
just
mostly to
different.
give feedback to the organization?
No,
Okay.
the point of the score is to give feedback to this group so that you can use this scoring tool to give you guys good, solid math and data in order to make the best recommendation to the Board of Trustees. So when when you're using this as a tool and you're making that decision for which organizations are funded and what amount, you've used all of this data to guide you in the decision-making that you're voting on. And if you're making adjustments to that, when you realize, you have X amount of money to give, you have an organization that scored really high, but you have to have the flexibility to make the number of organizations that are funded, the amounts that they're funded, match the money. There's going to be some piece to that software where it won't just be a direct top to bottom fill. There's going to have to be some balance in there. But when this group is calling it to a vote, you're going to have some hard data to work with in order to guide that decision.
So in the meantime, when we fill this out, it said amount requested and then amount you would recommend. That amount is not really a hard number until we get everything scored and then we meet as a group, figure out how big the pie is.
Right.
And then start divvying up. So it's really, that amount you recommend is kind of a placeholder, I guess.
Exactly.
So I have a question about the pie. Will we know, so let's say we accept 10 applications, and they're varying their requests, but what happened, will we know how much pie we're working with so that we don't promise something that we can't write a check for? How does that happen? When will
How do
we
you
know?
track it as it moves through the process?
Yeah, when do we
That
know
would be-
we've crossed that boundary?
Jennifer is the keeper of the pies, right?
Well, we'll have estimates in December. We'll be watching in December to get a rough estimate. We won't know until December 31st when the calculation's made on.
Okay, so we'll definitely know how big the pie is for us to divide.
So we won't
Let's
know
say the
anything.
pie is $100,000.
Huh?
And we do all these evaluations and all this discussion, and when you add everything up, we've decided to allocate $130,000. then we have to decide how to break that down and get it back down to 100, correct?
Right.
And then we do all that work and we pass it to the trustees, and I doubt if they'll have much pushback.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
probably, I wouldn't,
formality, so to speak.
yeah, I wouldn't anticipate a lot of pushback on that.
Yeah, I'm just guessing,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you're
We
right.
definitely need to know some,
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be voting, I mean, we're going to be putting these numbers in and.
well, the problem with that is if the pie is only $100,000 and all these requests, come up to $230,000, then we really got to
Yeah,
drop back and
Well,
punt about
and-
3
and-
times.
And part of that will be through your evaluation process, because if you know you have $100,000 and there's $250,000, well, you can look to see what were the top 10 highest scoring, and that can be your starting point.
Yeah.
And then you weed down there, and then if you still find that you have, some funds left over, then you can keep moving down. But this will keep you from having to come in and have a discussion on all the applications. You narrow it down to the top high-performing applications.
So when we get the first few requests coming through here, and we really don't, when they ask for $25,000, I mean, we just really don't know what to score that and to allocate at that point.
I mean, go by
Okay.
your best,
Yeah.
at that point, you don't know if you give it
Pension?
all, but you could look at it and read it and say, you gotta be kidding, 25,000, or, yeah, that's good to ask for 25,000. We may not be able to give you 25, but I understand your request for 25.
I'm sorry.
That's good. So we'll know, I mean, there'll be a report that shows, hey, there's 20 applications and the total requested funding is X dollars. We'll know that before we start judging the very first one. What we may not know
But we
is...
will know that.
What we may not know is the exact amount we can allocate. So
Exact amount. We'll get close, we'll know what December's balance is, we'll know what interest is kind of being earned, we'll be able to give a pretty good estimate within.
So what we could do is, I mean, since we'll have the information of what the total bucket is and a good idea of what the bucket is, we'll know, if it's $100,000 and we have 10 applications and everybody's applying for $10,000, we'll know out of the gate that if we give everybody what they've asked it for, we presumptively have enough to do that. And if we're $10,000 short, then we can just take $1,000 off everybody if we wanted to do it that way and say, there you go. But we'll have that information up front. We just want to know the exact number.
So in one of our initial meetings, when we were doing the breakdown of how much we will have to work with, it became clear, at least to me, that what the city has given in the past, there will be a shortfall, meaning what we can give will be short what has been given in the past. Am I right on that, or is that?
I'd have to go back and look. Whatever was estimated, though, I will tell you, was done when our money was earning a lot less than what it is now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Okay.
those are probably somewhat dated.
I think the comment was made that there would be some things the city would still do
There are, yeah, there's governmental,
before they give it over to us, yeah.
Right,
we are keeping some of the things that we do fund now.
We are.
What we call the governmental type
So
of.
we're keeping the library and governmental services. There's a couple of also with public safety, the child advocacy piece was one of the big gaps, and that one is going to remain in the police department funding. So there shouldn't be a shortfall, but there should be a change.
Okay.
Based on this process. The other challenge that this group is going to face when it's time to do the actual allocations is that the trust documents specify a maximum amount for certain areas. So much for victim services, so much for youth services in that piece. So after all of the scores come in, after the recommendations come out, that's going to have to be something else that you weigh so that those percentages are also taken into consideration before the final allocation's made.
Is that not something that staff could do so that we don't have to do that as a decision point rather than, we could focus on the individual application, and then if we get outsized of a bucket, you guys could come back and say, hey, you did 25% in this bucket and there's only supposed to be 15, so you got to make another decision. Rather than us getting caught up in that, because that can be hard. And then the other thing is, what about if anything scores 90 to 100%? We don't have to talk about it. Because I'm all about less conversation.
I think we got to talk about, even if it's just a no-brainer,
There you go, Carl.
There you go. No brainer.
Okay.
I've just,
Might be a short discussion. Everybody agrees. You
Yeah.
just bypass it and go on.
I'm just trying to,
Us to help with that
Sure.
piece.
And
This could,
let's go back talking about,
Allocation part?
you say 10,000, I say 5,000. So we have to get together compared to,
No, I don't think we need to make decisions.
Karen said, that we have to all come back and agree.
but if it's
Well, at that point, I want to ask Karen, at that point, if we are trying to settle on an amount, 10, 15, whatever, people that know, like Collier and I know, like Charity Circle, what we give, I know Community Foundation, what they give, I know of the John Floyd, what they give to certain organizations. Do I have the right to say, no, wait a minute, this place is getting $100,000 from John Floyd's? I mean, would that be cool to say that, or should I keep that to myself?
I think that's a discussion among the members.
Because I think that is a big,
I'd like to know.
yeah, and the
Not
answer,
in documents we're
well,
getting?
You're saying,
the first question I got on what you just said is that public record?
That's a great point.
well, I mean, I don't know
When you
if
say,
Charity
wait a
Circle's
minute.
public record.
Well, I mean,
It's not a
if
big-
Lynn says, I know John Floyd's given $100,000,
It's a 501c3.
Yeah.
is that going to be put into the public record?
I don't know.
don't they have to disclose that in the
I
application?
don't know, I mean, I'm just
It's a
saying.
public record.
I think
isn't
we
it?
have that in the
Nonprofits in Tennessee have to have open meetings.
Yeah.
So, they can't really hold secrets. So I don't
So,
think you'd
right.
be disclosing a bunch of
Yeah,
secrets.
I'm a little confused as to, I would just consider the application materials and discuss those, limit your conversation to that.
So you can't bring in with like, well, I know they got $100,000.
Well, why, just consider the application on the merits.
I'm sorry.
What's presented to you.
I guess when they get down to the hard discussion, it should be fun.
Okay.
There's so many other reasons why you can say.
Yeah, so one of them might be, look, we know they got a whole bunch from here.
About
haven't got
whether
anything.
they've received.
Gotcha.
Kind of balance off that.
So back to my,
Budget documents.
all right, back to my little analogy, $100,000. Let's say we get 57 requests in, different
I don't think it's
evaluations that we have to go through, 57 of them, and if you add 100% of all of them, it's $795,000, but we only have $100,000. That's going to require a lot of discussion.
I think after you've gone through this process and those are scored, I don't think that'll be as hard as you think it will.
Okay.
But like, I think the scores, like that first line of defense of the numbers is really going to help you guys focus in on the top scoring candidates.
Okay.
Can we go back? So when and I saw on WGNS, we were getting the information out to the community about, in that process, did we kind of give them, this is kind of the sweet spot of what you should request, that was made known to them? I think that will help too. If they have an understanding of what that sweet spot is.
Yeah. By virtue of the trust, no one organization can receive 25%, more than 25% of the total allocation. So we estimated around $300,000 as that pocket of money. And so that is, we capped it at 65. So the maximum request is 65. And then we further broke it down and said we anticipate the average grant award to be between 10 and 25,000.
Okay. That'll help.
But don't you think too, being on the other side of the fence, these agencies are going to ask for a whole lot more and hope they get a fourth or a half? That's usually how we've always done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wish for the moon, and then if you get,
right, and that's why we added that one question in there. If you only receive partial funding, could you still carry out the project and what that would look like? So that can help you guys kind of make some determinations as well.
Is there any more questions about the software? Everybody comfortable with it? Seems pretty easy. I mean,
I will say, I think that the desktop will be a lot easier than the iPad.
Do you want to play around with this one real quick?
I think I've got it, it's just,
Can I ask, City, prior to this, up until now, when organizations requested money from you guys, how it just came in just in different ways?
Well, over the last few years, we've put an application process in, and there is, well, why don't you describe, Angela? I'm trying to.
The historic part, when it was called outside agencies years ago,
That wasn't
was very council-driven. It was a process where organizations would make appeals to council, council would make different recommendations and vote on it from there. And the staff role was basically limited to making sure that they had the appropriate documentation in place. With the creation of my position, however many years ago that was, I've started to lose track. We began a transition from that to strategic partnerships, but I was still working off of that same baseline piece. And so it was still a very flat funding through that transition because it had been the same way for so many years.
Yeah.
Like the goal was to not make it a direct and impactful, take the tablecloth out kind of piece, right? I think that this transition, we've been working for the past 2 years especially, letting each of those agencies that had traditionally been funded know it's about to change, be ready for this piece, asking like the last 2 years in the application, one of the application questions is how are you preparing for the change to this process, with some pretty solid answers coming back on that.
Good.
So I think that that we've done a lot of work setting the groundwork for this to be different for those agencies that have traditionally received funding. And I will say there are several other really good agencies that traditionally have not received funding that will now be allowed to enter that mix. And it will be a more competitive process and a more fair process with a review committee in place, separate and apart from that council decision. I think was part of the intent of council wanting to go this direction, was to make it a more structured process.
Don't they have the final say, the council?
Yes.
It's all voted on by the council.
As a veto piece, right, Craig?
Right.
So you all make the recommendation to Board of Trustees. Board of Trustees submits that to council, and then council can veto that and send it back, the way the trust documents are written.
Yeah, and it's more or less a line item veto. So, if there's a particular project that they don't agree with, they can take that out. It's not like they veto the whole package, make you start again.
so when this leaves this committee and goes to the next one, that's a public record, but will the applicants know that they advanced in the process or not?
At that point.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will know because if they're paying attention to the Board of Trust documents, they'll know. If they're particularly paying attention to council agenda and agenda packet, it will be in that. So they could know, but it's not an official until we submit the grant award letters and the grant. So
to follow up her question, let's say it goes to the trustees, and for some awkward, like I asked earlier, it should just flow on through. But if there is some awkward reason that one organization gets kicked back, what happens then? Does it come back to us?
They could send it back. They could choose to send it back. They could choose to
make the decision on their own?
Right.
Either the trustees or the city council?
Well, no, the city council only has, the
Okay.
trust document only says yes, they get an up or down.
Okay, what if they say down?
Then it goes away, and then it goes back to the Board of Trustees, and then
Okay.
they can decide what to do with it.
Okay.
And
Okay, so Karen,
they could say no, they could say, let's not distribute the money, let's keep it in, or let's find another one to distribute in and send it back to you guys to find another one, or.
Have we thought about that yet, or is it, I mean, you just answered me, but
Yeah.
is it cut in stone what's going to happen if it gets kicked back?
No, well, it gets back to the board of directors and it's their discretion.
Okay.
Board of directors,
And
board
they
of
send it back to
trustees.
us, and then what's our process then?
And reconvene, and
Do we put the halt on all the other organizations because we've,
I don't think necessarily, no.
okay.
No, I mean, I suppose the board of trustees could choose to do that. They're not restricted on what they do. Once they get it, it's in their hands, they can do a lot of different things. I don't anticipate they're going to do much.
Okay.
But they could.
I wouldn't think so either,
Completely
but-
changing it to,
Something to
no,
think
let's just
about.
do that one and send it back.
the ones that are not chosen,
They could change the amount also.
they just look to
They
see
could
what
change
grants are
the
given, and
amounts,
they just
and,
assume
they may say,
didn't.
look, today, we now know we have another,
Okay, so they do get a letter.
so, we
$5,000.
balance all the books and we have another $10,000. And they may come back and ask you, or they may just say, just allocate it across. If it fits the numbers. We have the matrix we got to look at.
Well, comment, the documents, when we, before we had our first meeting, the documents that the city provided to us, this committee is to recommend to the trustees.
Right. Right.
So the trustees have the ability, they have the right, let's say it that way, to modify the distribution. I can't imagine them doing it, but
If they didn't have any of this information,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see them doing that.
Yeah, I think as a practical matter, they'd send it back.
I think there's two pieces to that communication also that's important. One, the language that we use back to the applicants. We're very careful at various stages, and the software allows us to do the different letters, like status letters, and send those out. So not telling anyone, congratulations, you've been chosen. The questions are, like FYI, there will be a recommendation. It is not final until it is approved at
point.
this level. Like, we'll use very careful language to tell people to not go shopping yet, even if they see that their name is on a list at various points. And then the same for the ones that are not being funded, a very carefully worded rejection letter so that they know their stance as well is part of that communication piece.
Just say, we tried to get Collier on board, we just couldn't.
Right, yes, and then we'll give your home, your cell number, right?
It's Ronnie's fault.
That'll end up happening at some point.
His fault.
For sure.
I know, it's going to be me, I know,
No.
it's fine.
They'll find it anyway.
Is there anything else on this? When do we need to meet again? Do you reckon?
Yeah, so really, that's probably December, January, so
Okay.
whenever you guys are
What's the
ready.
deadline, you said?
February 15th is when it has to be to the Board of Trustees.
So what's the deadlines for the
He
application?
Oh,
says
the
it's going
30,
to be.
the 31st of this month.
Okay, so can we do a dry run?
I haven't done anything crazy, but I've seen it.
You don't want to?
January's great, holidays busy, a lot going on, January sounds great.
Well,
Other.
Trustees?
Okay, do it.
So does that mean that our dashboard will become live on November 1st?
No, because we'll need a few days to go through and do that back-end processing to make sure that we're sending complete applications and thorough ones. So we would anticipate that probably November 15th-ish, maybe 2 weeks, to allow us to do that. And then you'll get an email notification saying that you have applications in your dashboard.
Okay, so our dashboards become live approximately November 15th.
Yeah.
And at what date do we need to have our reviews completed?
I'm thinking January something. That's
at the end?
up to you guys as to what you
How about
want to
the
do.
first of
We need to go
February?
back
I'm
to
with
it.
Ronnie.
If it all has to be completely submitted by February, we need to bring
I'm
it
not
back.
gonna look
Because
good.
that's after they've met.
Yeah, it needs to go to the board by mid-February, I forget the exact.
Yeah, by February 15th, so you need to back in that a little bit of time for you guys to meet and get it out.
And it is hard to find a meeting time over the holidays, for sure.
Whatever y'all want to do, I'm fine.
So,
I mean, I can do
I would
January, like the
suggest-
middle.
I have the ability to fill out this evaluation and maybe just hold off on our recommended dollar amount as these things start coming in.
You'll get
And
all
there's-
the applications at one time, so you'll have the whole packet.
Oh, okay.
You can sit down or do
Gotcha.
them all at once, or you
No,
can.
that's it. When
Yeah.
It'll be there, pop.
Yeah.
But what we put down in the recommended amount, like I say, just kind of consider that a placeholder. That's a version of finding out how big the pie is.
Right.
What do we put on there?
It doesn't matter.
It does,
until we
it's
meet.
just a box in the evaluation piece, so you can
Yeah.
put whatever amount you want. It
Real
doesn't.
generous, man. You can get real generous and just fund them all until we meet.
Million.
Yeah.
Look good.
For everybody, no problem.
Public
We'll
record.
get a preliminary number out late December.
Sure. And then we
We'll
have to
know.
figure out the
We
sum
can
of
go
what
back and
everybody's
play
asking.
with the numbers.
I know, but what,
Let's say probably mid-January.
And then, Dr. Hinkle, you're out the week of January 8th, correct?
Yeah, 8th and, yes.
I think I will be too.
So if we said January 16th, that only leaves us a month.
That might be MLK's.
MLK is the 15th.
Oh, but that is the day after a 3-day weekend, so that's a really good point.
The later we are in January, the better for me.
And this meeting would be the one where we're hashing it out.
Making your final
deal.
decision. Your phone a friend.
So the week, sometime not the 16th, but the 17th or 18th or 19th? Is that what, 17th or 18th probably?
What's Martin Luther King Day?
There's the 15th.
15th.
And I'm assuming we'll need to allot a good amount of time.
Yes.
Almost like a big
A
workshop
retreat,
type.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be,
Okay, so we do this, I mean, the charity, this is exactly what we do at Charity Circle, just like it's just like what, in theory, we're all supposed to do at our houses. Like, you have to pick and choose how much you spend on something.
right?
And you dispose of other things. And the Charity Circle meeting is just, like, it is exactly, in fact, what I think we're going to be spending is going to be half what Charity Circle gives out every year. So we go through it, and we just talk about what we think is really good, and we got the dollar amount, we just go through it, and it really is not outrageous.
Right.
So
Has anybody been on United Way allocations before?
I'm sure it's the same thing.
It's just so streamlined because every year it's a history, and it's pretty much the same organizations, then you have, a new one pop up every now and then, and you know kind of what the money is, and once you get going, it's easy, but I can imagine, this first one is going to be, this first year.
With Community Foundation, there's 3 people, and they kind of pick and choose.
Yeah.
And they go through the applications that are handwritten, which were 49 this year, and then they decide, and then sometimes they contact people that are familiar with the organization, like Charity Circle. We put members on the board of these different organizations, so you kind of know where you're going.
I mean, it shouldn't.
So,
The way
That's
we'll
what-
have
that's why
hard
they chose
data
us.
is all this ranking
Group.
to help us out.
So if we did the 23rd of January, that's a Tuesday, is that gonna,
Be too late?
is that too late?
Yeah.
We gotta get everything to the trustees by the 15th
let's do the 23rd.
of what? January? Is that what we're talking
Is
about?
that too late for y'all?
You're not knowing how many applications you got?
Karen,
How
is
long will it
that
take
too
to go
late for
through 'em?
y'all?
We'll meet before
No,
then,
'cause
right?
by the time that decision is
I'm not
made,
sure,
there
that's
really
what I was
isn't
asking
that.
them, when are we meeting again to, I guess at the next meeting?
Discuss how we're doing with our dashboard and our
When is this?
any questions hey, tell me again how to do this, and
I think that's what we
and
Angela and Karen, we're thinking we might need a
primer.
make sure we all are doing our applications
On the same
correctly.
page.
Just another, I can make the meeting like 7 minutes long, something like that.
So the applications that are due from the nonprofits at the end of October, if you give Karen and I 2 weeks, or we can back it back to 10 days, because depending on how many there are and how strong we are, to go through and do that review piece. Then a meeting after you all have had like a week to spend with them, but stay off of Thanksgiving that time. But just to, all right, you've seen it, you've had a chance to review everything, almost a pre-score meeting, is that what you're asking for?
Kind of like a.
You're still in draft?
We know what we're doing.
Everybody doing, anybody struggling, like the 28th of November?
28th, that's what I had too.
Tuesday after Thanksgiving week?
Okay, and this is going to be better for me in the mornings, the closer it gets to the holidays instead of that.
So
Like y'all.
Thanksgiving's the 23rd, right?
Just a 30-minute.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's 1:30 or something.
When is Thanksgiving?
23rd. 23rd.
What about,
23rd?
23rd is Thanksgiving.
Let's meet then.
yeah, let's go, yeah, I'm cooking dinner, so I can,
I'll be in
I'm
North
going to
Carolina,
leave
y'all can come
anyway.
join me.
Yeah.
Just bring your
28th.
leftovers down.
Yeah,
28th.
10 o'clock,
Everybody good with the 28th?
10 o'clock
time of day.
Time doesn't matter.
What's the 28th?
It's a Tuesday. Duck season is closed.
Hey, 1:30?
My calendar.
We're talking about November, right?
Yes, November 28th at 1:30.
You can't come earlier.
I'm talking about 1. Oh, it's Tuesday,
Second night.
Rotary.
Yeah.
1:30.
And,
Thank you, Maya.
You're welcome. What'd I do for you, John?
I know.
And can we go ahead and set, so if that one's the check-in,
Yep.
how are you guys doing? Then let's go ahead and set the decision-making one, get it on the calendars?
Yes. So, okay, so the next one is
Dry run is the 28th.
November 28th. Did we say 1:30? Is that what we said?
kind of a Q&A session.
1:30 is, yep,
1:30 PM.
November 28th. And then the final one where we hash it out,
Can
what
you-
is good for everybody.
Can you have all your evaluations completed around the first part of January? Because we'll need a couple weeks to do all the data runs and compile all the information for you guys.
To submit them to you the 1st of January.
Yeah, so just have them complete on your dashboard.
Just give us a day.
How about the end of the calendar year? Just having it done by December 31st.
So we start mid-November and complete on 12/31. Okay?
And then
There'll be a
meet,
lot of communication at that point, like
Then we
email.
meet on November 28th to have a how's it going meeting.
make sure everybody knows what they're doing and it's working, and then the final hash out what's good, how much time we need to
We're
allow.
talking 23rd of January for that.
Later the better for me. John, say that for me. 'Cause it's-
Later the better.
Tuesday, January 23rd, 1 o'clock maybe?
Or that still needs to be 1:30.
1:30. 1:30 for the Rotarian.
Is that acceptable with you guys, 23rd?
It's fine with me.
Yeah, that works.
All right.
Vacation.
That's going to be a long meeting, right?
23rd will be a long meeting.
What's there to do in January?
Should we, Mr. Chairman, should we start earlier maybe? And
No, it goes to
On
Rotary.
that one, I can make an exception. I can miss Rotary on that. Because it is going to be such a long meeting, I don't mind doing that.
But long meeting, we're still talking about 5 o'clock at the latest, aren't we?
Third is wide.
I would hope.
Yeah, mine too.
Anticipate 2 to 2.5 hours, really. I don't think it would take longer than that.
Okay. Okay.
At that point, you're at each other's throats, and you probably don't.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock on the 23rd,
1 o'clock,
meeting on November 28th at 1:30.
very 20.
Okay, so we're at 1:30 on the 28th and 1 o'clock on the 23rd.
Of January.
January is 1 o'clock. And the other is 1:30 because of the Rotarian.
I'm going to go over this real quick. Dashboard live for us, November 15th. Then the review's completed by the end of the year, December 31st. Our next meeting for a quick Q&A, to make sure everybody knows what they're doing, November 28th at 1:30. And then the final meeting to hash out the money would be the 23rd of January at 1 p.m. and have it submitted to the trustees by February 15th. Is that all correct?
Yes.
Do we have to vote on that, or are we good? Good. Is there any other business? Seeing none, we stand adjourned.